Let's start off our wake-up conversation this morning. Yes, recent images have indeed surfaced online of a care center in Dania Shima Ward, Suru local government area of Kebbi State, as you can see there on the screen. Now, they've once again spotlighted the troubling state of public health care infrastructure in the region. Now, I beg to mention that Kebbi State is the same state that was faced with the recent kidnapping of students, and you recall what was done. But anyway, these photos that you see on the screen there reveal a facility in severe disrepair. I don't think it's even up to a state of disrepair. I think it's non-existent.
Exactly.
Sparking widespread concerns, particularly as they surfaced shortly after the state government approved 10 billion naira. Take note, to sponsor pilgrims for the Hajj. For many residents, the stark contrast between such spending and the neglect of essential services has reignited debate over governance priorities, with growing calls for urgent investment in primary healthcare systems that serve the everyday needs of local communities. Well, let's get to see what the people are saying. That's another conversation we're going to look at. But then again, you saw those images. Let's put them back up on the screen again so you can see them. Just to pose that with what you see on the headline there, the Kebbi State governor approving 10 billion naira for Hajj. And then you have this as a medical facility amongst many other medical facilities. What a situation that we do have on our hands. Play it out. But before we react to these, let's see if we do have tweets from what Nigerians are saying concerning this medical situation. Well, you could talk about infrastructure-wise. Scoot says the same Kebbi residents and certain uninformed individuals will tell you they would rather travel for Hajj than receive healthcare. People even ask the graduates to choose Hajj over a job offer employment. Religion is what they have given the North instead of progress. That's deep. Another one. ATB says this is a sobering and painful contrast. A working health center is a matter of life, dignity, and basic care for a community, and it should never come second to non-essential expenditures. If a government can budget billions for pilgrimage support, it can and must prioritize clinics with lights, staff, medicines, and other necessities. Development is not about choosing one over the other. It's about putting people's health and dignity first every time. But the image move not just emotions, but policy and priorities. Deep.
Very great post there. And well, Anelechi John, who's a registered nurse, says, this is the real tragedy. A primary health care center in Kebbi State is left in this state. Yeah, 10 billion naira is earmarked for Hajj loans. Governance is about priorities. Healthcare is a basic obligation and not a luxury. When prevention and primary care are neglected, the costs are paid in lives, not just naira. Absolutely. Well said. DS Maisaje says, now this is heartbreaking. Fixing the problem isn't rocket science at all. What if all elected and appointed office holders for this constituency were forced with all members of their families plus relatives to access their healthcare from this facility? Wouldn't they fix it? Interesting point of view there. Amatok says, I do not have any problem with the sponsorship of religious pilgrims, but it should not be the government's business. There are competent businesses stalwarts from the same states that can sponsor pilgrims with larger sums, he says.
Wow.
Victor says, saw this and burst into hot laughter. I'm tired of crying for Nigeria, he says.
Anyway, we're done with the tweets. We're done with the tweets being up.
I mean, it's a tragedy. And that's sad. There's no way you can refer to that as a public health care center. Maybe it used to be, but of course, it's obvious from that picture that it's been abandoned and left to a state of this repair. It can't, I mean, nothing can function from that. It doesn't even have a roof over its head. And it just goes to show what the state thinks is priority. religion is a private affair. I mean, it's one man to his God. The state shouldn't come in and tell you how to practice your religion or do certain things. I believe it should be the duty of an individual to, do his religious duties, and the state should also prioritize other things like education and healthcare. 10 billion naira for Hajj sponsorship and pilgrimage. I mean, what's the return on investment?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
No, nothing.
So that's the answer.
Because the truth is, I like how you've highlighted it. Religion is it's a personal intervention. It's a personal thing between yourself and the Almighty God. It's just two of you. Imagine people were being told that they will be paid salaries for worshiping God. I'm sure many of us will not be working.
Absolutely.
We would not be working. And although that's starting to look like a stark reality in some parts of the world, also here in Africa, where people have henceforth relegated working and have focused on the title that comes with the fact that they are religion, experts, or they belong to a certain religion. Therefore, they expect to be paid either by the people. Therefore, there's a lot going on. But let's narrow it down to what we've highlighted here and what the big story is: the government. If you are spending 10 billion naira, sometimes I wonder if the people who are listening, who even voted in the governor, take some time to sit back and ask themselves, what is the end game? What's the end product of all of this? 10 billion naira Benga will be able to build a well-furnished hospital. Not even one. I can dare say here, possibly can give you
a few primary healthcare centers.
Yes, primary healthcare centers where mothers can go there, take care of their children. Basic health amenities can be done. Sometimes you wonder, where did we get it wrong? And the funniest thing in all of this is 2025, Benga.
Okay, so let's even assume the governor has a light bulb moment and he thinks about this great initiative. I want to use 10 billion naira to sponsor people to the Holy Land for pilgrimage. What about
the assembly?
Exactly, the assembly. Can all 30 plus or 20 plus of them also have the same brainwave, and nobody can check this sort of frivolous expenditure? It
pretty much seems like governance has gone to sleep. Have you noticed? It pretty much seems like governance has gone to sleep. What we're seeing play out these days, especially with the stories we're taking, the ones we're writing on, the ones we're doing investigation on, it pretty much seems like those in governance have hung their boots when it comes to governing. They've hung it, and they're now focused on just looking at areas in which either they can do something that people would shout and say, this is completely ridiculous, or they just do something that seems like, have they really had a thought, a proper thought?
Did they think it through?
Did they think it through and on how it would benefit the people? That's what it's starting to look like. Well, not all parts of Nigeria, by the way. Let me also mention that. But in certain parts of the country, you're wondering, is there a government, or what is going on?
And the priority seems to be politicking. I mean, as we speak, there are over 100 children that were kidnapped in Niger State, and we've not heard any news from them, apart from the last tranche that were released, 100 of them. So there's still more than 100 in the kidnappers' den in the bush. We don't know their psychological states. We don't know the state of their health. And it seems we've moved on, nothing happened. And it's an indictment on our collective humanity as Nigerians for children, school children who were studying in the schools. It's bad enough that they were abducted, but we don't seem to see any movement or any sense of urgency in bringing them back. It's been relegated to the back stories, and no one is talking about this. Our thoughts and prayers are with those kids, and we hope they return to their wards very soon. Okay.
Anyway,
away from that, our second wake-up conversation this morning, very sad one and mischievous one. The Senate has ordered a very thorough probe and imposed sanctions following claims linking Senator Akpabio to alleged debts, a move that has immediately captured nationwide attention. In his remarks, Senate President Akpabio referenced former head of state General Gowon, noting that a similar approach was taken in this case, underscoring the gravity with which the chamber is treating these allegations. Lawmakers emphasized that the investigations will be meticulous, carefully gathering evidence, reviewing testimonies, and ensuring due process. The action sends a strong message that no claim, no matter how high profile, will escape scrutiny. And already citizens and political analysts are watching closely as the high-stakes investigation unfolds. Let's take a listen.
42, which does not need any exhaustive deliberations. So I would say that your point of order is sustained. However, you have to know it's not only politicians that they make these reports about. Somebody was telling me that they showed a burial ceremony of a business tycoon when the person is not dead, and they also said the former head of state, General Gowon, is dead when he was alive, attending the last Christmas carol. And I don't know. I think all we can do is to, is it the view of the Senate that this matter be referred to the National Security Advisor, the DSS, to investigate? Those in support say aye, those against say nay. That is it. I think that's all we can do. You can't stop people from writing, you know, the internet is garbage in, garbage out. So you can't stop people from putting in garbage.
So there you have it. The Senate has said those who peddle death rumors, that it's not just politicians that they claim they have died. They will face stiffer consequences, and is even going as far as saying that maybe it should be a national security issue, that it was asking if the committee should refer to the National Security Advisor. I wonder if the laws of the country are not inadequate or don't cover this sort of situations like libel and things like that.
It does,
understand
but
the frustration. It does.
But it does. Apparently
So
it does.
I understand their frustration, and it's really annoying. And you think human beings and adults will self-regulate and know the consequences of the things they are putting out. But in the age and proliferation of social media, we've seen all sorts of, and then the development of AI, we've seen all sorts of fake news and issues coming out. Sometimes you see a news item, you have to double check. Over the weekend, I saw fake news about the passing of the former head of state, General Yakubu Gowon. And
I saw that too.
All the major
Whereas it was an event.
Attending a Christmas carol event. So I wonder what the idea is behind this.
Well, whether we like it or not, that's why we have a program here on News Central. It's called The Proof. The Proof is a program that we urge everyone to always watch. It's our own way of ensuring that you learn the difference between actual news, away from misinformation and also disinformation,
and how to identify fake news.
How to spot fake news. A lot of stories you see online are just clickbait. And sadly, you also have people who are gunning for likes. Don't forget, likes is a new currency now. So everybody just wants to see, oh my goodness, my video had 10,000 views. Oh my God. I mean, I always say this, that, yeah, the views are good because you want to convert them to money. But I always say the impact is the most important thing, because if you put out a lie and then you have billions of views, the impact of that lie could actually cause a lot of damage to people, even if they're just 30 of them.
Absolutely.
And these are lives. The lives are different from likes.
And in the event that you put out a rebuttal, the rebuttal doesn't... It doesn't change anything. It's never as viral as the initial post. So
you know, I'm sorry. Damage when I was doing this, I didn't know.
But I like that.
You know,
people are making examples out of certain individuals that cross boundaries and make up some of this false allegations. One of the P-Square brothers, I think it's Peter Okoye, a lady on Twitter made a very damning allegation against him that didn't he impregnate his housewife.
Okay, I think that's Paul.
Yes. And she was picked up. She had a day in court. Others, I believe it was Bello El Rufai, one of the El Rufai children.
Yeah.
Made a very libellous statements against him. And then when he swung into action, she started begging that she's sorry and all of that.
And then
So
there's this young
do-
chap who is already begging that he shouldn't be picked up or arrested. I think I saw a video or something that he was just playing by,
I'm all for it.
Senator Ned Nwoko should please forgive him,
yes.
and so on. But when you were making those damning comments
I
and
mean,
statements,
you're an adult. You knew what you were doing, so you should face the consequences. So I'm for these sort of actions so that people would learn. If you make one or two examples and scapegoats, because they hide behind the screen, they think you can't be found out, and tweet and write all sorts of scandalous and libellous things about people.
But that's one, Benga. I'm also looking at it from another angle as well, that a lot of these social media influencers who want to become overnight influencers by jumping into the news very quickly, they need to learn lessons, and they also possibly need to go for small courses to learn about what to do, what not to do. However, I'm also of a different opinion that the DSS and the National Security Advisor shouldn't wade into this kind of thing.
We have bigger
because
issues
there's a lot in front of us. Some
the
children, they've not released some of the children.
Yes. And then, you say
that's
somebody
one.
died. The person has not died. So
It's just
is
a
that why you
public
want to
statement. Is that
deploy
what
national security assets
to start
chasing people that
after
said this
people
guy is
look
dead
at
and
their
he
deeds
didn't
and
die?
all that? Rather, I was expecting that. Well, I mean, well done to the National Assembly for bringing it up. It's very key, because one thing that keeps the country united is to ensure that, I mean, there are lots of people who have gone through a lot just because of false,
Fake news.
fake and misinformation that was passed around and in terms of circulated around. But while that is being dealt with, I also like the way the Senate President had said that you can't stop these people. They will keep talking about it. It's not just us they talk about. They talk about other people. I mean, do you know how many times I've seen videos that Jackie Chan is dead?
Oh, yes.
Do you know how many times you go on Facebook? At some point, I even got tired of Facebook, because every single thing you see there, if care is not taken, they're all fake stories. And now that you have artificial intelligence, people need to even be more smarter now, because sometimes it's harder to identify which one is the artificial intelligence and which one is real, because the AI can mimic the same voice of the individual. You just need to learn the tricks. I mean, by the way, just watch the proof here on News Central. Make sure you watch it with National Newsman. You would learn a lot on how you can identify these fake videos. But let's track back. Let's track back to the fact that the National Security Advisor and the DSS should go after these people. I would rather say, instead of them going after these people, Dangote has made a statement, and we're going to revisit that story. The NMDPRA boss has responded. I think that's where the National Security Advisor and the DSS should look into too. Since the EFCC and the ICPC and the CCB is a bit slow, those are the kind of things that we should look at. I mean, when are we going to see a National Assembly that would look into issues and say,
issues that have
national interest and implication, and say, listen, as a National Assembly, as a people who are representing Nigerians, millions of Nigerians, we must ensure that we don't just come here and look at policies and so on, laws. Let's also ensure that anything that tries to disconnect,
issues
destroy,
of national interest should be brought to the fore.
Let's put it there. And these are some of the conversations that I think you can look into.
Let's take a few tweets on what Nigerians are saying on this issue. King David West says they can't track bandits and Boko Haram, but can track harmless citizens. They actually know what they're doing. He says, exactly, and that's what we've been highlighted. They only flex muscles when it comes to citizens, but not terrorists, he says. Ebo says a one-star general was killed by terrorists, and you didn't even demand that the killers be properly tracked. When the time comes, Nigerians will speak with one voice. Keep pushing people to the wall. Okay. Ola Chris says, I love this move. Things like this shouldn't be thrown under the carpet. They should fish them all out and punish them. But charity begins at home. How many have they tracked? From terrorism sponsors to NNPC own theft to terrorists themselves posting videos of captives and ransoms with their faces on display. If the Senate President got pushed for the above, then we all know they're for everyone and not for themselves alone. Nigerians deserve better since service Nigerians deserve better service from those representing them. Absolutely.
Well, let's see another one. Lekki massacre victim says, so NSA and DSS are this jobless. Nigerians are dying daily. See waiting Senate is more concerned about. And let's see if we can take more tweets. Shameful priorities. They couldn't deploy the same urgency to hunt bandits, kidnappers, or terrorists. But suddenly, security apparatus must move because of rumors about one man. This tells you everything. Power is protected. Citizens are expendable. Well, we've also highlighted this, and I believe that members of the Nigerian Assembly, National Assembly, I beg your pardon, are also watching. We think that priorities matter in every single thing we've talked about this morning. While we do not in any way aid and abet or support individuals talking derogatorily or badly about the leaders and those at the front row, we also want to mention that there are very key and pertinent issues that are begging for your consideration in the House of Assembly. Now, let me also take it to another level. It took a rep of the United States to come down to Nigeria, to walk down to Bauchi, to go to these areas, Benue, I beg your pardon, where these killings had happened. I have not seen the Senate president there. I have not seen videos or pictures of the Senate president. I have not seen videos and pictures of members of the House of Assembly, like 5 of them, going there and walking around and meeting these women who are, or families who have lost their loved ones.
On a fact-finding mission.
Need I mention too that the #1 citizen of Nigeria decided to go to Benue, rather than the reception to be one that showed that people had died and filled with a lot of compassion and sober. Yeah. It showed a celebratory mood where children were even kept under the rain, waving and telling him welcome. And then you had a lot of, pomp and pageantry along the line. Not just that, while he was trying to go to the area where the incidents, the atrocities were committed, he couldn't get there. So they stopped and they had a tete-a-tete with the people of that particular area. Where are we going with all of this? The point is, while we do not support people, in quotes, talking and passing out misinformation and disinformation, we also want to speak to the National Assembly that they too, they need to do what they are ought to do.
Exactly, and prioritize.
That's it.
Prioritize. A rumor of a death does not mean you should deploy national security assets to deal with. There are bigger fishes to fry. But let's move on to our last wake up, if we do have time for that. The United States President is in the news again. It's always in the news, for different reasons. United States President Donald Trump has announced an expansion of travel restrictions on 12 countries, describing the move as a decisive step to strengthen national security. According to the administration, the affected nations, including...
Drum rolls.
Yeah. Nigeria,
finally,
Syria and Burkina Faso were identified based on security assessments, citing concerns such as weak vetting processes and ongoing security challenges. Trump stated that the decision is aimed at tightening border controls and preventing potential threats, stressing that the policy is driven by national security considerations rather than race or religion. The announcement has triggered widespread reactions, both at home and abroad, reigniting debates over immigration policy, global relations, and the balance between security and international engagement. Countries with full U.S. entry ban are Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea. And then the new updated list includes Mali, Syria, Niger, South Sudan, Burkina Faso, and Palestinian territories. I thought Nigeria was on the list.
Yeah, Nigeria is there. Nigeria is included.
Nigeria.
And Nigeria is included on the list. It's very sad, Benga. Let me quickly mention something to our viewers. Let's go to if you go to the White House website, okay? If you go to the website, the information on there, you'd find that Nigeria is also mentioned. Now, let me quickly read this. It says, Nigeria, under Nigeria, you'd find the statement. It says, radical Islamic terrorist groups such as Boko Haram and the Islamic State operate freely in certain parts of Nigeria, which creates substantial screening and vetting difficulties. According to the Overstay report, please, you might want to listen to this one. Nigeria had a B1, B2 visa overstay rate of 5.56% and an F, M, and J visa overstay rate of 11.90%. Point number 2. The entry into the United States of nationals of Nigeria as immigrants and as non-immigrants on B1, B2, B1, B2, FM, and J visas is hereby suspended. 3. Consular officers shall reduce the validity for any other non-immigrant visa issued to nationals of Nigeria to the extent permitted by law. Bom Quem. What are we saying here? We're saying that getting to the United States henceforth will now be very difficult for you
it's always
as a
been
Nigerian.
difficult.
Now it's going to be even more difficult because the immigration rules have changed now as soon as that pen has been put to paper. And what is the reason? I just read some of the reasons, highlighting it for you. And the key one that stood out for me, it says, it mentioned radical Islamic terrorist groups operate freely.
So are those radical Islamic groups, are they interested in traveling to the United States?
It said it creates a substantial screening and vetting difficulties because you can't really tell if people are traveling because they want to travel or they are running away from the radical Islamic terrorist groups that are committing atrocities using either their B1, B2 visas or their tourist visas. But when they get there, look at the overstay rate. The overstay rate is high because they don't want to go back.
5% is not high.
No, Benga, hold on. 5.56% of B1, B2, and then you have F, M, and J, of course, which also has to do with the media if you're going for whatever and so on. Overstay of 11.90%. It wasn't like that before.
And so you need to scrutinize your vetting process. And
but that's what they've done.
Yeah, and not and now try ban.
But that's what is, well, it doesn't mean, let me take point number 3 says, consular officers shall reduce the validity for any other non-immigrant visa issued to nationals of Nigeria to the extent permitted by law. So it doesn't mean that it's
Nigerians can't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the United States is hosting the World Cup next year. And during the draws, they refused visas to Iranian officials. I mean, that's bringing politics into sports. And they're also saying that they will not grant some players visas. There's a reason why you're given the hosting right. And football is a uniting factor. It brings the world together. It's called the beautiful game. And I don't understand why FIFA should allow this. If you're not going to be a host, I'm not saying you shouldn't vet or you should just throw your doors open to everyone, but playing politics with who you're going to let into the country and all of that is really.
I'm going to believe that President Trump has also been moved by the recent issue that took place in Australia, you know. But let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly as we look forward to wrap up Wake Up Conversations and jump into the main show. Pato says, like I've said several times, more Western countries will take drastic steps to limit entry into their territories. If you like, collect 10K and a sausage and vote the wrong people into sensitive position.
I thought it was 5K.
I thought it was 3.5. I thought it was 3K. The majority of the countries banned by Trump were Muslim majority nations. This was less about national security and more a policy disguised to exclude Muslims from entering America. Muslims in the West are routinely targeted, framed as terrorists, silenced when they speak out, and then collectively punished through bans. All of this simply because they refuse to abandon their religious values or assimilate into what is presented as modern culture. That is the thoughts of Aliyu Isa Muhammad. Let's take another tweet very quickly as we look forward to wrap things up here on Wake Up Conversations. Black Genius says, Burkina Faso will respond tomorrow. Wait for the huge travel ban on American citizens to Burkina Faso. It's surely coming, and she believes it will definitely come. Masterpiece says, we hope he'll learn to rest and stop interfering with the affairs of our country now and focus on his heaven United States and allow our country, Nigeria, to be so we can focus on solving the problems of our country. That's all we're going to take, and that's all we're going to take on Wake Up Conversations.